Art brushes apply artwork to a path and provide options for controlling how it scales on that path. Now, in the latest version of Illustrator, you can even create an art brush from an image as well. Let's take a closer look. I'm beginning this video with the artbrush.ai file already open on my computer, and I just have a couple of pieces of artwork on my artboard that I'm going to use to create an art brush. So I'm going to start by opening up the brushes panel. And to create an art brush, it couldn't get much easier. I'm just going to select a piece of artwork, and I'm going to go ahead and drag this and drop it onto the brushes panel. And so I'm going to go ahead and choose Art Brush, and I'll go ahead and click OK. Now I'm going to give this art brush a name. I'm going to call this the LBV Art Brush. And before I do too much here, I'm just going to go ahead and change the direction that the artwork is going to apply to the path. So you can see right now it's going to go across the path. So I'm going to use the up arrow here so that the art is drawn from the bottom up. And I'm just going to go ahead and leave it set to stretch to fit stroke length, and I'll click OK. Now to see what this looks like, I'm going to grab my brush tool, make sure we have that selected, and I'm just going to go ahead and draw a path. And you'll see that when I do, the art brush is applied to the full length of the path. Now, in addition, what I'm going to do so that I can see the options here, I'm going to click on this to select it. And in the stroke panel, I'm going to go ahead and change my swatches. I'm going to go ahead and pick, let's go with like this orange color here. Now, nothing changed right now, and it's not supposed to, but just understand that when you do utilize coloring, that when you're applying it to a brush, you need to use the stroke color. Now, we're going to take a look at these options. So if we go back to the brushes panel, I'm going to double click on this art brush. And now we can make sure that we have our preview turned on. So first of all, let's take a look at some of these properties. Brush scale options. If we choose scale proportionately, you can see that the art is going to scale proportionately to the path that you drew. So depending on the size of the path and how it's being applied, it's going to scale it proportionally. Now another option we have is stretch between guides. Now this one's pretty cool because you can see right now it provided two guides that we can use to control our artwork. And you can see that right now it's stretching everything between these guides. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this top guide down so it's not including any of the leaves of the tree. And when I let go, you'll see that now only this portion that's between the guides is going to stretch. So the trunk is going to go on forever, and then it just adds the tree at the very end. So it's pretty cool. Now, in addition, for the properties up here for the width, you can choose between several different options. Pressure and bearing are specific to stylus use with tablet devices. But you could choose some of the other options to control how this looks. So I'll leave mine set to fixed. But you'll notice as I drag this slider that the top of the tree is getting bigger. So this option, fixed, only has one control. You could choose, like, for example, stylus wheel, and then you have more than one controls to control the minimum and maximum here, like how much it gets distorted in the horizontal and vertical direction. So I'll go ahead and reset these to about where they were, about 100%. And then what we can also do is when you are choosing stretch between guides, you can numerically control the start and end point if you want. Now for colorization, this is where my current stroke color is going to come into play. And so, for example, if I choose tints, you'll see that it's going to apply this solid tint to the whole brush. You could click this little helper here that'll show you a tip that explains each of the different colorization methods. For example, none, tints, tints and shades, and hue shift. So I'll go ahead and click OK. Now if I choose tints and shades, you can see this gets very dark because it's essentially applying my stroke color on top of the current color. And because these are two very dark colors, I'm not getting much of an appearance here. So with lighter artwork, you would get more of a value here for tints and shades. Now for hue shift, this is where this key color comes into play. And you can see my current key color is green because that's what the majority of my artwork is. But if I were to click on the eyedropper, I could go ahead and pick up the brown to set that as the key color. And that would then in turn change this artwork. Now I am going to have to go ahead and hit OK and apply the strokes to see the change, but you can in fact see the artwork change here. Now I'll double click on this one more time. You can also choose to flip it along the horizontal or vertical axes. And you can also choose how the corners overlap and fold when you have a more drastic adjustment. Now go ahead and click OK. One more thing I'd like to show you is that with an embedded image in Illustrator, we can make that an art brush as well. So if I drag this, drop it into my brushes panel, choose to make this an art brush. Again, we have the exact same options that we do with regular artwork, and we have the same controls. So if we click OK, you can now select a path and apply that artwork to the path. So I'll go ahead and select these different options, and we can see how the artwork is being applied. As you can see, art brushes are flexible and powerful and are very, very easy to create and manipulate inside of Adobe Illustrator.